You've made it through the research article. You've read the abstract, you followed the methods, you've made sense of the results, and you survived the discussion. Now you're at the end, what many articles label as the conclusion or implications. This is often the shortest part of an article, but if you're an educator or a school leader, it might be the most important. It's where you decide, does this study give me something I can actually use in my school? Hi, friends. I'm Matthew Courtney, and I help educators turn research into action. Today, we're going to talk about how to evaluate the conclusion and implication sections of a research article, and how to judge whether the study is relevant and applicable to your unique school setting. Let's start with a quick reminder of what this section usually includes. The conclusion is where the authors wrap up their findings. It's their final words on what they learned and why it matters. The implications are their recommendations, what they think educators, policymakers, or other researchers should do next based on their findings. But here's the problem. Sometimes the conclusion overreaches. Authors are excited about their work, and they might suggest bigger takeaways than the data actually supports. This is why you need to read these sections in context with the rest of the paper. So as a school leader, your job is to read this section with both curiosity and caution. You're asking, what are they recommending? Is it realistic? And would it work here? Let me walk you through the key questions to ask as you read this section. Question 1. Are the conclusions supported by the data? Start by comparing the conclusions to what you read in the results and discussion. Are the authors drawing reasonable evidence-based takeaways, or are they stretching their findings into claims that weren't really proven? For example, if a study found a small increase in student engagement from a 4-week intervention, but the conclusion says this should immediately be scaled district-wide, that's a red flag. High-quality studies keep their conclusions grounded in evidence, not hype. Question 2. Are the implications actionable or more theoretical? Look for statements like, schools should consider implementing. Professional development may help teachers apply. This strategy appears promising for. These are practical clues, but you'll also see more general statements like, further research is needed. This study contributes to a growing body of evidence. That's fine, but as a school leader, you need to focus on context and what you can do next. So ask yourself, is there a strategy, idea, or mindset shift here that I can share with my team? Do the authors offer any real-world application or examples or specific recommendations for schools like mine? Question 3. Does this apply to my context? This is one of the most overlooked and most important questions in evidence use. The best study in the world won't help you if it doesn't fit your school. As you read the implications, ask, were the students, teachers, and settings in this study similar to mine? Do we have the resources, training, or conditions to try this strategy out? Would this align with our current goals and improvement plan? Sometimes a study might give you a great idea, but you'll need to adapt it for your local context. That's usually not a problem. It's part of evidence-informed leadership. Question 4. What's missing here? The conclusions and implications section is also a good place to spot gaps. Maybe the authors make a great case for a new teaching strategy, but don't mention or its implementation or the supports needed. Or maybe they recommend change in a school policy, but they don't address how to monitor its impact. Use that as a prompt. What questions would you need to answer before bringing this into your school? What local data would help you evaluate whether it's working once you apply it? Remember, you're the bridge between the research and the reality of a practice. Question 5. What's your next step? Ask yourself what action this article inspires you to take. Maybe you want to share the article with a PLC or a leadership team, pilot a strategy in one grade level or one classroom, maybe bring the idea to the whole school improvement planning session. You don't have to act on every article, but strong research should spark new ideas. When you evaluate the conclusions and implications section thoughtfully, you'll know which ideas are worth taking forward. So let's quickly recap. When reading the conclusion and implication section, ask, are the conclusions supported by the data? Are the recommendations clear and actionable? Do they apply to my context? What's missing or needs to be adapted? And most importantly, what's my next step? Reading research isn't about finding a magic answer. It's about finding better questions and smarter starting points for your leadership work. If this video helped you to think more critically about research, like and subscribe, and stay tuned for our next video where we'll explore how to spot red flags in research design and interpretation. See you next time.